I'm going to be talking about Hermann's tortoise care, or more specifically, baby Hermann's tortoise care. So we have a 20-gallon long. This works for a singular baby. And as you can tell, she has to put her in. She has quite a bit of room. She can move about as she wants. If you could get something bigger, that'd be great. And if you're getting more than one, or one bigger than this, definitely get a bigger enclosure. First thing I'm going to talk about is substrate. I'm using bark. You have you have many choices to pick from. You can choose. You can choose to use bark like I am, Eco Earth, or any other coconut bedding, and like cypress mulch, or it's commonly called like forest floor bedding from Zoom It, I think. And then what I'd actually advise against using coconut products, just because they'll walk into their water bowl, walk out, get covered in substrate, walk back into their water bowl to clean themselves off, then they'll walk back into the substrate and get messy again. They'll just keep doing that for hours. So that's what he did when I first got him. And yeah, I think that's, oh yeah, you're gonna want something that can hold in humidity, because what I recommend doing with your hides of any kind, any size, if you have something that can hold in humidity but also works when it's dry, it will, you can spray it down in the hide. That way they'll have humidity and you don't have to worry about pyramiding as much. You still do, because you know it's dietary and a bunch of stuff that does that. Second thing I'm going to be talking about is probably just the enclosure in general. If you're going to be using glass, like I am, you're going to want to, what I usually do is I put it next, like up against a wall. So this side is blocked off, and then put paper on these two sides. That way you can see them. Alright, I don't remember where I left off, but you want to block off 3 out of the 4 sides, or use a tub that's about this much room, because for some reason they're not smart enough to understand that glass is an invisible force field. They'll just bump into it all day. Like when I first got him, I didn't cover the sides of his tank, and then all you'd hear all day and all night for hours is just, and then he'd get up on his cave and slide off and hit it. It's pretty annoying. So you want to use something that's not, you want to use something to block 3 of the sides, 4 if you'd like, but I feel like most people would want to see their tortoises and see what they're doing, especially if it's as cute as this. You're gonna want hides, of course. So this is gonna be the warm end. Let's see, we have a few hides to choose from. I'm gonna use this one because it absorbs heat pretty nicely. Of course, want to make sure they have enough substrate to burrow in. Do this one. I think this one's too big. And then you want a cool end hide. Now you don't need just things that are just designated as hides. You can have fake or real plants in your setup, and they'll hide under it and in it. They'll burrow, of course, and you want your water bowl. If you can, get a really shallow one. Because the issue, I didn't have the issue with him, but with her is, it happens, like maybe every other day. We'll walk in and she'll just be in the water bowl on her back. And that's not good. Because, she'll drown. And then tortoises can't breathe when they're on their backs. Their intestines will rest on their lungs. And yeah, it's not bad. That's why they'll poop if they're on their back. Just try to get some of the weight off their lungs. Just try to try to bury the water dish. It helps, I've noticed. Yes, make sure that they always have proper lighting. It's a mistake a lot of people make with their bearded dragons is that they don't get them in UVB lighting and then they get metabolic bone disease. And then with these guys, if they don't have it, since their shell is just one big bone, if it doesn't grow right, it causes them really, really bad problems. Because, you know, you can see they aren't very agile and nimble as, let's say, a blue-tongued skink. You know, he's basically a snake with legs. You want, for their hot spot, you want about 95 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you want about like an 80, 85 degree ambient temperature throughout the enclosure. That's weird. I don't know if you're taking that out. So yeah, you're gonna want to look through your stuff because you just might find bits of plastic in your enclosure. Don't know how it got there. Don't know why it got there. Just did. Let's see. Make sure they have fresh water every day. Sometimes people will be oh well, they're of a drier species. They don't need water every day. Well, you want to make sure they have constant fresh supply of water. Alright, so there's a few other things you can put there that will help your tortoise, like Cuttlebone. We've seen her munch on this a couple times. You just throw that in there and they'll come out. This enclosure's pretty much done. We just gotta put water in it and stick her in there. There's a few things like Reptivite and calcium supplements that also help prevent pyramiding. You wanna make sure they have a good bit of variety in their diet. See if she'll take a bite of this romaine leaf. Would feed the other tortoise, but he's gone. It's very important to give them a good variety in their diet. Like I said, we usually feed romaine pretty much every feeding, but we always put something else with it, so it's not just romaine lettuce. Like we'll feed them grapes every now and then, maybe blueberries, or what else do we feed them? We'll feed them maybe like some pellets. Don't feed them just pellets if you do feed them pellets at all. Or some I've seen some pellets that I think are good, but most of them that you'll see aren't the best. What's something else? Timers. This is something that's sort of important if you're kind of lazy or if you're very forgetful. That way you don't have to turn off their lights at night, you know. So you have their heat lamp, 9500 degree hotspot, UVB, and then we're gonna want to turn off their lights at night. You have to really, it's really important to give any animal a proper day and night light cycle, because if they don't have it, they will, or maybe not will, I'm sure there's some that just don't care, but many of them will get stressed out and they'll stop eating. They can get sick because their immune system will get weaker, and then they'll die. So you really want to make sure to turn off their light every night and turn it on every morning. If you're not using a timer, because then it'll just turn on and off automatically. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. Might have been a few little bits that I missed, but if you're watching this because you're thinking about getting a Hermann's tortoise, don't just get all your information from one source. It's really important to get it from as many sources as possible, because you'll see some things say one thing and then other things they'll say something entirely different. So it kind of helps, you can kind of form your own opinion on what is best, and you kind of experiment when you get yours. Try to figure out what's best for your animal and what works best for you. Well, that's it, and bye. Alright, also another thing I didn't mention was a feeding dish is very important. You can just use like a flat rock or something. There's something really hard to make sure that they grind down their beak while they're eating. I've seen pictures of turtles and tortoises with overgrown beak, and it's not pretty. It's also something the cuttle bone helps with, because of course they're biting into a bone.